Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back, and if you are new, thanks so much for checking out my channel. As many of you already know, I follow the Giller Prize, which is the biggest award for Canadian literature given for the best fiction writing. And the winner was announced on Monday, and there has been a lot of Giller buzz going on, and I am so excited to say that Suzette, Mayr, fellow Canadian and author of The Sleeping Car Porter, is this year's winner. So if you watched my prediction video, then you know that this was in my top 3, and this is also the choice that the Shadow Giller judges chose for this year's winner. So I will leave links to both the Shadow Giller and the Giller Prize below, so you can go and check all of that out. I thought that today I would talk about my top 5 Giller winners, and if you still want more Giller and more CanLit, then I'm also going to share some, I think, exciting news at the end of the video. So let's start with Giller winners. There are now 30 winning Giller Prize books, and I've read probably about half of them, so I do have some catching up to do, but I am going to talk about 5 of the winners that I've read and really enjoyed. I would say that I enjoyed them the most. So I'm not going to share them in any particular order, other than the first 4 books were 5-star reads for me, and then the last one that I'm going to share, I think, is an underrated Canadian gem that I rarely see mentioned, if ever. So first up is the 1995 winner, A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mistry. I know it's huge, but it is well worth every page. This is a historical fiction novel that takes place in 1970s in India during the Indian emergency. And the cast of characters in this are fantastically written. And in some ways, these characters become a found family. So there's Manik, who is a college student who has been uprooted from his own family and home. There's Dinah, who is a resourceful widow who takes people into her boarding house as long as it is beneficial to her in some way as well. And then there are the Taylors, Ishvar and his nephew Om Prakash. So all of these characters are trying to survive, and it is through their stories and the stories of many other secondary characters that we learn of the poverty and the caste system and corruption that existed. And all of the characters are living through difficult circumstances and have to overcome adversity. The writing in this is spectacular, and it's a very powerful and heartbreaking story. My next 5-star Giller winner may be a bit controversial, but I'm including it here since I did give it 5 stars. And this is the 2008 winner, Through Black Spruce by Joseph Boyden. The controversy around this one has more to do with the author. And I'm not going to go into all of those details here, but you can look it up if you are interested. I include it because despite the controversy, there's no denying that the writing and story are incredible. This is the second book in the Bird family trilogy, and like A Fine Balance, this is historical fiction. Also, like A Fine Balance, I feel like I know these characters. They are so real to me. The 2 main characters are Annie Bird and her uncle Will Bird, and they are Cree, and they are from Moose Factory, Ontario, and their 2 stories are intertwined. Will is a bush pilot who is in a coma, and Annie has come to be with him, and she's also looking for her sister who has gone missing. So usually when there are 2 stories like this, I am more enamored with one than the other. But with this, these were brought together really well, and I thought that this story compared themes of tradition and modern ways of life, the themes of life and death. It brings in the drug culture and feuds very well. So there are some really beautiful moments in this story. And even though this is second in a trilogy, it can be read and understood on its own. Next up is another historical fiction novel, the 1996 winner, Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I have talked about this book many times because it is one of my, if not my favorite, of Atwood's. I have an entire video just about this book from when I was doing my Mondays with Margaret series, so I will definitely leave a link for that below for you to check out. So for now, I will just say that the main character is based on the real person of Grace Marks, who was charged for murdering her employer and his housekeeper in 1843. At the time, Grace was only 16 years old. She spent 29 years in Kingston Penitentiary, where some of the Netflix series was filmed, and where I visited. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I share some of those pictures in my video. And people have likened Grace Marks to kind of be Canada's Lizzie Borden, because some people did think that she was truly innocent. Others believed she was insane. There is so much mystery and intrigue around this story, and so many questions left unanswered. Margaret Atwood had to kind of fill in a lot of gaps, and I think she does this really well. And this book feels very different to me than all of her other books. My final 5-star Giller winner is the 2020 short story collection, How to Pronounce Knife by Souvankham Thammavongsa. And it is not often that I give short story collections higher ratings, especially 5 stars, but this collection captivated me with its use of language. I have been anxiously awaiting to see what Souvankham will publish next, because I will read anything that she writes. This collection has 14 stories, and each story stands on its own, but also has something to offer the collection. And that, too, I think, is rare in these collections. And yet this is done to perfection here. This is also a debut, which is impressive. The stories are similar in that they are all about refugees and their experiences, but they vary in how they will impact you and evoke emotion. So some are very funny and delightful, while others are sad and heart-wrenching. And I predicted this to win in 2020, and I was so thrilled when it did. It's a collection of stories that I can't really say enough good things about. And finally, my 5th book is one that I rated 4 stars. A lot of the winners I rated 4 stars, and I could have chosen a number of them, all for very different reasons, but I went with the 2001 winner, Clara, Callan by Richard B. Wright. And this is a book that I think is underrated, but it is totally worth the read. It not only won the Giller, but it also won the Governor General's Award, which is another very prestigious Canadian literary award. This is a story about 2 sisters, and it takes place mostly in a small town in northern Ontario in the 1930s with Clara, but it also takes place in New York City with Nora. So Clara is a school teacher. She's smart, she's a homebody, and she doesn't like change. Her younger sister Nora is in many ways completely different, completely opposite. She's more ambitious, she wants fame and adventure. And the two are fiercely loyal to each other, but they both face unique struggles. And what makes this book unique, and I would say surprising to me that I liked it so much, is that it is written in letter format, the letters between the 2 sisters mostly, and it also includes diary entries, as we get kind of the inside scoop to Clara through her diary. And I normally don't get along with books that you know, kind of choose this format, but I thought this was done exceptionally well. The diary entries allow us to kind of have a glimpse into Clara's personal thoughts, and from that, when she is writing her letters, we have the inside scoop on what she is telling her sister or others, and what she is choosing to keep hidden from her sister, which I think in the end lends itself to giving Clara a bit more complexity. This is definitely a more character-driven novel than a plot-driven novel, so if you are into that, then I highly recommend this. So those are 5 of my top Giller Prize winners. There are many of the shortlisted and long-listed Giller books that I have enjoyed too. I shared some of them in an earlier video that I did where I did a countdown of my top 10 Giller books that never made it past the long list. I will leave a link to that in the description box below because there's some really good books in that list, I think. I want to say congratulations again to Suzette Mayr for winning this year's Giller, and to all of the shortlisted and long-listed authors. If you are still wanting some more Giller info, I am excited to announce that I will be having a special guest on my channel soon, hopefully. We are just kind of working out all of the details, but I am happy to say that WAUBGESHIG Wright, who I have talked about on this channel many times, Waub has agreed to talk with me about all things Giller. Waub is an incredible author himself, and he was a jury member this year for the Giller, so I'm really excited to kind of ask him all of my burning questions about what that experience was like for him. So stay tuned for that. I will leave links to Waub's social media down below, so you can go and check that out if you don't already know who Waub is. Please let me know if you have read any of these Giller books, or if there are some other Giller winners that you would have chosen or added to this list. Also, let me know if you have any burning questions that you would like me to ask Waub, because I'd be happy to do that. Is there something you're hoping to get answered about the Giller? I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.